Hey everybody, welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the Poohverse, which is basically this franchise that's going to build up over the next couple 2 to 3 years, and it's going to focus on basically like these twisted, horrifying versions of characters we've known for decades now. And I have a lot of thoughts on this movie because I just saw Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2, which was a movie that I had a lot of thoughts on. I made a whole video on it. And now we're going to take a look at the whole franchise overall because I have a lot of thoughts on the future of this. This is something that I love to see on screen because I love these twisted versions of characters we all know and love. And basically like Rhys Frake-Waterfield and other producers such as Scott Chambers, which plays Christopher Robin in the new movie, are teaming up and basically coming up with this idea in the same vein of like the MCU, Avengers, which basically is planning to like take all these characters and put them together in a final film in 2025, which we probably like know it's not going to be the final film. Like these movies have made so much money, and there was a Variety article that just basically like covers this stuff like from the first movie that came out last year, Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 1, and then the next one that came out like this week, and there's going to be a couple others, so we're going to cover all that, and I'm just going to share my final thoughts on this franchise because I feel like there's a lot of things that can go right, a lot of things that can go wrong, because these movies have a very low budget, but I feel like the overall idea is very great. I feel like seeing these characters come together and seeing like this idea come to fruition is going to be very rewarding, especially with the 2025 film, which I'm very excited about. And like just looking at this poster, you can see like all the different characters that are going to come into this movie. For example, we got Pooh, Winnie the Pooh, and then we got like the villains from this movie, Tigger, Piglet, which as we saw in the final scene of the second film, we see them coming back. They're going to come back like fully on to take on the survivors of this film, but also it's going to connect with the other movies of this franchise. So like in the MCU, with combined like the Captain America movies, the Iron Man movies, Hulk, Thor, this one is going to have basically Bambi, Peter Pan, the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland for some reason, and some other characters. I feel like this one right here looks like the Rake from the creepypastas like in the back in the day, and also Pinocchio for some reason. I feel like that movie's gonna be fun because I love Pinocchio and I love all the new twisted versions that have been coming out. For example, Lies of P and Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio have been amazing. So you can see right here all the great ways that like, you know, these characters coming into the public domain have created. And in this universe, we're gonna see this in the realm of low budget horror films, which I'm a really big fan of. I just love this crap so much. So yeah, naturally I had to give my opinion on it. So first of all, I have to say that these movies are not for everybody. I feel like if you like horror films, if you like all the new amazing horror films that have been coming out, for example, like the Ari Aster films, Robert Eggers, that have been creating so many amazing things. A lot of A24 horror flicks have done an amazing job at just like pushing this genre in new directions. But there's also like a soft spot for like low budget, crappy, like blood and guts kind of thing. And this is like an example of it. And what a better way to do this with characters like Winnie the Pooh, Peter Pan, and Bambi. However, I think that Rhys Frake-Waterfield and other producers from this franchise need to have some kind of like sense of responsibility because these movies are obviously really fun. I had a really great time watching the first Winnie the Pooh movie last year. The second one, I thought it was really fun, even though it had its like very blatant flaws in the film. But at the same time, I feel like it did a lot of things right. So in like the 2025 movie, I feel like there's a lot of like moving pieces that are going to come together. I'm obviously going to see the Bambi movie that is going to come out, which actually the second Winnie the Pooh film had like a teaser for it. And also like the Peter Pan movie. I feel like there's a couple of others. According to the Variety article, there's a couple others that have been confirmed. For example, Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare, which is going to have Tinkerbell as a villain and also Peter Pan with Wendy as a protagonist, and also Pinocchio Unstrung, Bambi the Reckoning. I mean, these titles give me goosebumps in all the best ways. And like I said before, I love these kind of things. And also I feel like when people criticize these movies, they have to realize like these low budget, just like crappy concepts and crappy movies like put together is at the heart of horror films in general. So I feel like there has to be some kind of acceptance with these films. And I'm just really excited to review them and to see them in theaters because I just like had a really fun time. And the way this crossover universe concept is coming together with these films is just like kind of like at the heart of all these franchises nowadays. But there's like a final point I want to make on this franchise, which is basically that they have to take their time with them because in 2025 is just next year. It's like right around the corner. And something I mentioned in the last review and the way these movies are coming together is that there's still a lot of quality that needs to be improved. And as an example, I'm going to take Evil Dead because Evil Dead is one of my favorite franchises of all time, like one of my favorite horror franchises. And you can see the way that Sam Raimi from the first to the second movie just like upped the scale and everything, like budget, but also writing, characterization, and even though it's like a really low budget horror film, that like builds on the first movie, in the same way the second Winnie the Pooh movie like built on the first one. The next rest of the movies have to do the same thing. I realized that the first and second movie had a lot of really bad flaws in terms of writing, in terms of storytelling, the characters, and in order to make this franchise the best that it can, it needs to like improve on those aspects. And I feel like for that, the movie needs to be delayed at least a little bit to 2026, maybe 2027. Like, have these characters time to breathe. Maybe not rush it that fast, so like this crossover film is in 2025. Because I have to admit that I really have a big faith in this franchise. This movie really made me amazed at like what things can be done in with the right concept, with the right characters. And I just felt like I said before, this film had a lot of like flaws that can be improved in future entries and with future characters, with like the characterization in these movies. And yeah, as a horror film, especially like a low budget horror film, it stands in a lot of great points. So we'll have to see like where the movie improves in the future. The article mentions that Scott Chambers is going to come back at Christopher Robin. He's the character that played him in the second film of the Pooh franchise, and also Megan Plactio as Wendy, which is like the character from Peter Pan. So basically it's gonna combine all the survivors from the previous movie into this film, and I think it's gonna be really interesting and really fun. But like I said before, I feel like it needs more time to plan to become something great and something that's actually really funny, because I feel like the same joke only works like a certain amount of times, maybe like 1 or 2 or maybe 3 times. But if they're gonna make like these many movies in this franchise, I feel like this whole joke of, oh, you know, these characters we've seen in like so many movies in Disney, now they're like evil monster characters, I feel like it only works for so much unless they do something great and something innovative with great writing. So I feel like they should actually take the time to get some good writers, some good producers, and I'll actually produce a franchise that will be remembered greatly in a couple of years. So yeah, anyways, I like the concept of this franchise, because the article also mentions that the first Winnie the Pooh movie cost $50,000 to produce. And with those $50,000, it made $5.2 million at the box office. So yeah, that is a pretty big like outcome in your investments. So obviously there's people wanting to see this movie. So yeah, I believe that this is like full of potential. And yeah, those are pretty much my thoughts on the Poohverse. If you'd like to see the article, I'll put the link in the description. And also like watch the second movie. I think it's not going to be for everyone, but I thought it was pretty fun. But yeah, the next couple of years are going to be interesting for the Poohverse, and yeah, those are pretty much all my thoughts. So if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. I'm going to be talking a lot about horror movies, horror video games, and just a lot of different things that interested me in this like genre of horror stuff. So yeah, anyways, those are pretty much all my thoughts for today. So yeah, have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you on the next time. Goodbye.